Every year we go on about a 6-day river trip down a river. This year is the Lower Salmon River. The Lower Salmon River is about 4 hours away from our hometown Boise. So we drive there and then unload our stuff. It takes about another 4 hours, but once we get on the river, it is very, very fun. Day one has finally started. After 3 hours of unloading and putting stuff onto the raft, we finally get out. We've already passed 3 rapids, and it's been very good so far. If your crew is hungry, then you should probably gather up and stop at a beach and eat some lunch. Your lunch is usually packed in a box in the raft, and it's really easy to get out and make, and the food is mostly always good. So if you have a big crew like we did, usually people would take turns making dinner. Our first dinner was very, very good, and it was delicious. Day 2 took off about 9. Our first camp was amazing. A bunch of cool features like a jumping rock and a long strip of sand. Temperatures there are a little more cooler than yesterday, but it'll warm up. Otherwise, it's pretty good. Stopping at a place with an actual restroom, unlike the Groover, but it's pretty nice. The Groover is where you do your business. You can only go number 2 in there, but it's probably the worst part of the river trip, but you know, it happens. So while we're in Flatwaters, I'm gonna ask you a question. What is an eddy?
Alright, so an eddy is where the water flows backwards up the river. It usually happens on the side of the river where the main current of the river is flowing one way, and then it runs into a little sandbar or a rock, and it turns and goes back up the river. Eddies are helpful because it helps you to sometimes slow down if you want to slow down, but they also can be a pain because if you get in an eddy, you're going the wrong way on the river.
Stopped for lunch. We made it to our campsite. If you want to have some fun on the river, then you should probably bring a game. We usually bring cards to play poker, 21. We also bring some candy to bet, but it's, you know, all of it is really fun.
Welcome to day 3 on the fabulous Lower Salmon River. Last night we stayed at Killer Goat Beach. We are headed down, about to enter the canyon, hoping to stay at White House Bar, but there's a lot of folks on the river. Temperatures were pretty cold last night, got down to about 50 degrees, but we had a nice morning and it's a beautiful day.
Pretty early at Upper White House Bar. Yet again, another great camp spot. Helicopter landed because someone needed some assistance.
So we shared a campsite with this other group, and there was the girl who had like pregnancy problems or some problems. So they called a helicopter, and the helicopter landed right at our campsite, and it was pretty cool to see how the helicopter like came through the mountains and was landing on our campsite. And yeah, a lot of sand and other stuff got into the air or was like
Before the sun rose a little early than the last previous days. We had another great camp spot called Upper White House Bar, and it was just amazing. Today's going to be great with a bunch of rapids, and it's going to be a pretty long day because we had a short one yesterday. So we're all excited. Come to scout our first Class 4. Welcome to Snow Hole. snow hole's the real deal. If you mess up, you might flip, but you can always recover. But it's very scary sometimes, but it's also very fun.
No more class 4s. Stopped at Deer Creek, an amazing camp spot.
I'm pretty sure Deer Creek is owned by this family because there's a house just right above it. It's probably the biggest campsite on the Lower Salmon, and it's really good.
Okay, so since we went over a big day of rapids, would you like to define what the different types of rapids are?
Absolutely, Max. So rapids are places on the river where there's white water, and usually a rapid will occur because there's boulders or rocks under the water. And rapids are either class 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 here. So class 1 is a small riffle where generally there's not a serious consequence if you were to go for a swim or fall out of your boat. Class 2 is a little bit more challenging, where there might be some bigger whitewater waves that are really fun. And class 3, more challenging, more difficult. There might be some technical moves where you're trying to avoid some larger holes or some bigger waves, where if you were to fall out or flip, there could be more consequences. And then class 4, the rapids become more consequential. You're trying to avoid larger holes where there are possibly rocks, where if you were again to fall out, it would be more consequential for the swimmer. And class 5 are the most difficult rapids on the river. They're more challenging, more technical. You might have to scout the rapid just to find the best way to navigate through the channel. And on most rivers in the lower 48, we have class 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, except for on the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon, where you have class 1 through 10. So 1 being the least challenging and 10 being the most challenging.
Nicole, you did a great job explaining that. Thank you. I think what we did afterwards, we set up some oars and we played some volleyball, and it was very fun.
Day 5 took off exactly at 9. Our campsite was Deer Creek, and it was just amazing. We've been super lucky. The river ranger came, so always follow the rules. But otherwise, it's been very good. Today will be a more mellow day than yesterday. So yeah.
We are entering the Salmon River Canyon. Once we go into here, the walls are going to get really steep and rocky on both sides. Still about 10 miles from the confluence.
Josh, what is this?
Pullman Mine, next to the Snake.
There are a couple mines along the Lower Salmon River. Pullman Mine is right next to the confluence. It's where the Lower Salmon River runs into the Snake River. So after visiting Pullman Mine, we get to the Snake River.
And copper?
Maybe.
The water got a lot slower along the Snake River, so one family brought a motor and we attached all our rafts together and motored down the Snake River. It was interesting. So there were a lot of people along the Snake River, and we were worried that we weren't going to get the best camp spot, but we did, and we were very, very happy and lucky.
Final day. We got the luckiest with our camp spots, and we've tied all our rafts and kayaks and paddleboards together, and we're getting motored down the Snake River. Not that action-packed, but always fun.
Box and de-rig there, and then once your boat is totally de-rigged, then you can get your car or whatever and go to the ramp.
Final rapid. The Grand Ron. Alright, here's Heller Bar.
So we park our boats at Heller Bar in the state of Washington, and all went well, gathering up and putting our rafts on the trailers. Then that's it. There you have it, the Lower Salmon River. I'd like to thank the amazing crew that went with us on the river trip. They really did complete it. You guys were really fun to hang around with, and were just amazing. You guys are awesome. Thank you.